there is an epiphany to a great awakening you can have today. It is one thing, literally, that if you grasp this and you go into the state of having that epiphany, your world will change. Everything will look completely different. Your frequency will go up. You can ascend into a great awakening state of being, even on this very challenging planet. I'm going to show you how it works, and I hope you have that epiphany now. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. I'm going to share with you the epiphany. Most of you will relate to what I'm about to say, but may have not grasped it nor live it. You must encompass this 100% in order to transition while you're here in this body into the highest of frequencies, where the whole planet will look so different to you, and your meaning and every action, thought, and belief will shift into another frequency that's going to make your life amazing, and everyone else's, because when you go to the high frequency, you influence the entire collective, not just of the planet and beyond. And that is where we come down to, what's the epiphany? We are one. I'm going to quote the Bible, even though you know I'm not a religious person. But I did hear this the other day, and I wanted to remind you of what has been said that we just sort of ignore. What you do to the least of us, you do to me. That's from Jesus Christ. What you do to the least of us, you do to me. When you grasp the oneness of everything, you truly grasp it, you have a real epiphany. What's that mean? You don't just say it, oh yeah, I know, and I'll try to be nice to other people. You encompass the fact that you are not the body, and that everything you do, speak, believe, your whole energy field is not separate from anything else, and that every individual cosm of energy is what we are, affects everyone else. You will realize the power you wield, the power that others wield, and how much we could change absolutely everything, starting with your personal life right now, by knowing that all is one. All. Not all humans. All. Everything is a projection of the power of the one, creating diversity and adventures and all kinds of things to know its self. In other words, you cannot know joy unless you've gone into sorrow. If you're in joy all the time, okay, so do you realize how, what joy is? What do you mean, what's joy? I just am, which is what we are. I am, right? Well, I am has gone into all the other spaces to know the joy, right? If you're a fish and you're in the water the whole time, and somebody explained what air was, you'd say, what are you talking about? I'm a fish, here's water. You wouldn't even know it's water. You would just know you're swimming. That's what we're doing. So we are just exploring all of these facets. When you go into singularity, and I talked about my logo, it represents singularity. The black hole is that point of oneness, and everything goes out from there. We are right now the out from there. If you have this epiphany, you will never speak poorly about another person. You will judge no one. You can observe those things that are of a lower density and frequency without reacting to it. You will no longer listen to the garbage out there. There's oh my gosh, Okay, I'm sorry, but I find a lot of this funny. My friend and I, we were talking about some of the rumors going out there, that the things that are being planted for fear. And I said, we're believing this stuff? Are there people that actually believe these stories, these fear-based stories? And my girlfriend, who's on social media, said, yeah, it's all over the place. And I said, so we're responsible not only for listening to it, but believing it. So I ask you, are you getting involved in fear-based, let's just say, theories, rumors, facts? It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. When you are participating in anything that is fear-based or separation, because fear will create separation, you are now on the lowest frequency of the planet that has existed for hundreds of years. You will not go into the space of ascension and great awakening. It's impossible, right? It's impossible to look at a pot of water that's not boiling and not even on the heat and say, boil, boil, boil. You'll stand there and look at it all day. It can't. You have to raise that temperature. And then it'll boil, and then you hit it, and now you have hot boiled water. Your frequency is no different. And so when you separate yourself, you go against everything that we are. What you do to the least of us, you do to me. In other words, what you do to another, you're doing to yourself. Now I want to share something with you. When we transition from this form, this adventure, into our light being selves, all of our lessons, everything we created and did here comes with us. There's no real judgment, but here's what's worse than judgment. What you do to the least of us, you do to me. You will experience being the least of us that you did. So when you go over, the judgment isn't that there's a group of beings saying, you are bad, and here's your punishment. That doesn't go on. It's pure love. Only humans think anything less than that. Pure love and acceptance. It said, okay, let's look, what did you learn? You now become the least of us that you may have inflicted pain on, because what you do to the least of us, you do to me. In other words, not Jesus Christ. Me is the one. Christ, God, all beings, all expressions of the one. You do to me. In other words, you're doing it to yourself. Have you been doing things out there? Judging, anger, whatever, dissing, one another. You're doing it to yourself. When we go over to our light being forms, you don't watch it as the form here of what you did to somebody. You're actually the somebody that you did it to, and you get to experience the pain you inflicted on them, the nasty comment you made to them, the opposition, the hurt, the time you didn't help them. You'll get to experience from their eyes, because you are them. And so you'll get to understand what you did to yourself, because you were in a state of separation. If you see the love in another, and when somebody strikes out, you have to understand there is density and pain that they're coming from. So that expression is from that space. It's not who they are. It's them believing that they are this, and that world out there is everything. And they're not in that high frequency where they understand that this is creating that. And so the struggle ends when you go into the space of peace. So what you do to another, the lowest of us, the least of us, we think the least of us, where there is no least of us when it comes down to what we truly are. We are of the one. We're going back to singularity. Nobody gets left behind. But wouldn't you like to do it sooner than later, so you can move on to higher realms and experiences that are no longer as, let's just say, as painful as this planet? This is the ultimate place for learning. And you're here, you chose this. So do your absolute best. That is another. So when we say that is me, I think the biggest challenge for us is we're thinking me, the human, me, Landria, or me, Bob, or me, Barbara. Oh, me, that's me. No, it's not you, the person. You, the person, are the one. Bob is the one. Jane is the one. And there's no line between these things. It is an expression all at the same time, past, present, and future, and every probability is all existing at the same time. So if you're in my Miracle Circle training, the Master Key System, this month we're going into what exists unfolds. So whatever exists for you that you've created is real and it's true for you. But we want to believe it's true for everybody because the ego thinks it's right, and it's absolutely impossible for it to be right for everybody because all probabilities exist. We have free will to get to choose what our probability is. You get to do that right now. If you want to let go of anger or hurt, mostly hurt, right? That hurt, you will go into a space of kindness and love. When you hang on to hurt, you will most likely strike out at the world. And I just want to say, you know, this we jump to judgment constantly on each other, and it never ends. And when we go into oneness, there is no judgment. You just see and observe what that person is doing, and you do not have to participate in lower frequency, and you don't have to judge that. They are on their own trip, making their own decisions. That's it. Somebody made a comment on, I did a video about Abraham Hicks, and the title says, you know, are they a fake? You know, and what's the deal here? Well, I could tell the person never watched the video, because in the video I said it doesn't matter what you think about Abraham Hicks. The bottom line is the message is really positive. And so I said, the rest, we don't have to know what that is. If you're listening to that, even if it's a channeler, and the message is positive and there's no fear-based or no separation in it, then it's a high frequency message and the rest is irrelevant. So this person made a comment thinking that I was dissing them. So if they'd have watched the video, and we do that all the time, we hear the first few words and we think we know what somebody's going to say or what they're thinking, and we don't. Can you see through to that fellow human being and know that even if they're spewing anger, it's coming from a place of hurt, and that what you do to the least of us, you do to me, should be sending the most light and healing to that least of us, because that will change their frequency by, if they choose it, you will affect them. If you're sending out your negative vibes and your judgment, you're actually taking them down because you're exacerbating and focused on the density, and then now you're entangled in it and you're taking down your own frequency. But you'll affect them in a negative way. Now, if you are awakened, no one can permeate that. But if you are going in a negative frequency, you can become very vulnerable because you're still believing the fear. You're still believing the negativity. You're still believing the separation. If you go into if you have an epiphany, we're one, you will no longer treat anything less than. You will treat nothing less, including an ant on the ground. You know, somebody said recently, you know, when you take a step, you're killing, you know, millions of microbes. What you can make a choice on, make the best, highest choice. And let the rest go, and know if you're doing your best, that's all you can do here. And it starts with this. What am I thinking, believing, sending out? Am I going into that space of oneness that is me? That is me expressing, and that me expression is not an accident that it showed up in my little world, my little hologram. It's my test. You're all getting tested right now. You can gravitate to the garbage, the made up, oh my gosh, I just want to say I am absolutely entertained by the stories that are being released out there from authorities and all this stuff. It's part of what's going to happen. When people are in fear and they're vulnerable, that's when other people in lower densities are going to plant more fear to get them to rise up against each other. That's what's going on. Do you recognize that? I'm the good ones. We're going to rise up and go against the bad ones. And then you give each other names. They're the blah blah group, or they're this or that. And the stories are just so horrifically ridiculous. And this is what you're focusing on if you're going into that. Which means you create it. Which means you actually reinforce that reality. For you, not me. For you. The rest, I say, those are probabilities that I will not participate in. You have a major choice right now. So what are you going to do to the least of us? You do to me. And that's all it's about, because that is me, 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 me. Beyond. That's all it is. And we know what the final answer should be, that we would never want to inflict hurt on anyone or anything, that we want to treat everything and everyone with total respect. And we don't have to be right, because there's no such thing. So please, please subscribe. And if you click the bell, you'll be notified when my videos come out. Come join the Miracle Circle every month. It's under $30 for an entire month of training, plus a live sessions included in that, meditations and all kinds of cool stuff. You're learning how to bypass that judgment and how to get past the blocks that actually stop you from manifesting amazing things. When you stop going into that space of rules and regulations and judgment, there are no barriers to you and everything you desire. So you can sign up for Manifest Anything. That's a free video series. It's down in the description. Miracle Circle's down in the description. So we got to be on it. And I'm here to help you to understand how amazing and perfect you are, and that you cannot make a mistake. But no bets on my channel, right? But we do want to make great choices now, because we are at a critical point on our planet, and our time as human beings does have a limitation, because we can't stay here forever. We have more things to go off to. All right, you're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. For those of you who've seen this come out, these are free videos explaining how thousands of people are using the internet to create online businesses, or learning how to create multiple income streams, and just a different kind of way of life. But it's training. This isn't the get wealthy quick kind of thing, because that's another story people want to believe. If you earn things, it feels so good. That's part of the adventure of being human. Earn it, learn it, get knowledge, apply it, do the work, and you will succeed. All right, you're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. That's actually from the Master Key System. Namaste.